I'm Donald.
And I'm John.
And we are back to begin coverage of HBO's original series, The Last of Us. I was a little bit confused for a second because I was like, is this show free? Because I'm ever the professional. I don't remember. I'll look it up. But either way, it will be released free because it is the first episode of the season of the series. Do we know if the show's already gotten a second season?
I think it's planned for a second season, but I don't know if it's been announced.
Yeah, I don't think they've said anything, no.
Okay. Well, either way, this episode will eventually be up for free as well. But yeah, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us. The first episode is called When You're Lost in the Darkness. I'll do a quick rundown of just like the main characters before we do like overall thoughts and stuff and talking about what actually happened in the episode. As most people know, Pedro Pascal is playing the lead role of Joel Miller. I laughed because I knew nothing other than him and Bella Ramsey. That's it. And it was a video game. So I'm laughing because the whole episode, which I'm going to talk about in a second, we filmed a video reaction for it. And I was just like, oh, it's that person. Oh, it's him. Oh, I was just so pleasantly surprised at everything that happened because it was so refreshing to not know anything going into it. Pedro Pascal, Joel Miller, Bella Ramsey as Ella Williams, Nico Parker as Sarah Miller, Merle Dandridge as Marlene. Excuse me. There was one more name I wanted to read for sure. Oh, Anna Torv as Tess. Oh, and Gabriel Luna as Tommy Miller. So this show is based off of, like I said, a video game that I haven't played. And like I said, not knowing anything about it, I've never watched anybody play it. I don't even know if Kaylee has played it. I know she's seen people play it. But I don't remember if it's something we ever bought for her. I just know that I was interested in playing it because at the time the trailers for it were all of these, like it had won so many awards and all this stuff. So I was interested in it, but I don't have a PlayStation. Kaylee does. And I was always too lazy to unhook her PlayStation from her room to bring it into my room. So I just never played it. So I knew nothing about it. And I'm going to let everybody else say like what their experience is with the game. I should say the franchise, right? Because there has been a second one.
Right.
Which
Yes.
I completely forgot about.
I think there's been like a DLC and then a second part. So there have been like 3 different games.
Titles. Okay.
And they're working on a multiplayer version or something.
Okay. So, Donnie, you didn't know anything either.
No, I knew it was like zombies, and that's it. Like I didn't know, and I knew it was the guy and the girl, so I didn't know anything about the daughter. I didn't know like other than those 2 characters. That's all, I thought the whole thing was just them 2. I didn't know there was other people involved.
Right. I'm so glad you said that because I knew that it was. The other thing I knew was that it was like some sort of post-apocalypse,
Right.
but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if it was something like, again, like zombies, vampires, or if it was one of those, like you, I think I had the impression that there were very few people in this show or in this story. I really thought it was about like these 2 people like traveling across the country or the world or whatever, but not really being chased by anything. You know, when, for those of you who are subscribed over on Patreon to the time travel tier, you'll be getting a video reaction. Me and Donnie watching this last night, and when they open with the explanation, like the whole thing about, I was like, oh, so zombies, because I had no idea. I was so excited it was zombies. Anyway, go ahead, Donnie. I'm sorry I cut you off.
What else was I saying? That's all. I mean, that's all I knew about it.
Okay.
What's just what you said.
Okay. What about you, John?
Yeah, when it came out, I watched a playthrough of someone else playing it. I've never played it, but I watched, them play it.
Is it a streamer you want to mention, or is it just was it just a random person?
It's a guy on YouTube who, at the time, it's so funny because after I watched this episode, I went back to watch his first video of this game. To just to see how much it matched up, because I wanted to see the game. And it does. It's very faithful to the game. But what was interesting was he was like, in that video, it was 9 years ago or whatever, he's like, I'm almost at 1 million subscribers, and now 9 years later he's at 13 million subscribers.
Jesus Christ.
He's the Rad Brad on YouTube. That's his name. But yeah, he's on there, and I watched him. I watched him play that. I watched him play BioShock Infinite that same year, which is also another very good game. So yeah, I watched that, so I'm familiar with the big beats of the story. But it was so long ago.
Yeah.
That I was watching this and I was like, oh yeah, this. That's why I wanted to go back and watch it after I finished the episode, is because I was I felt like it was so close.
Yeah,
I was
and I feel
so familiar.
And without having played it or even seen anything of it, I could tell. And I mean that not in a bad way. So much of it felt like what it was. That beginning felt like the opening of a video game, where this is the part where you're learning the controls, go over there, pick this up, do that, you're looking, you're spinning, you're the girl in the back seat.
Find the watch.
Yeah, you're in the back seat looking around, spinning around. I was like, yeah, I've done this before, even though I've not played the game. So I was not surprised when, later last night and today, I just heard people saying, I've stayed away from reviews and stuff. I haven't even been in our thread, but I've heard people say little things that it's beat for beat a lot, very close to the game.
Yeah, I just put it in our chat, the side-by-side comparison of this game.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, so John can see it. But they copied what you see in a video game too, and they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't know how much you want me to
Oh, you can just go overall thoughts before we dive into.
Okay. That's the thing is what I liked about this a lot. There are two things about how I liked it, right? How I like it in terms of how it's interpreting the game, and then I like it how it's a TV show. And so interpreting the game, I like, because I don't know if y'all watched the thing after, the making of the episode.
No.
Well, on HBO Max, because that's how I watched it. If you just keep watching it, it'll do the thing where it's and here's the 5-minute, making of the episode thing, and they discuss the character of Sarah, his daughter.
Okay.
And how they wanted you to get into to see her as someone who could be the protagonist of the show for the entire show, so that when she dies, it's a big deal. And that's how the game was. When you begin the game, you're her.
Yeah,
yeah. And so that was, I liked that they kept that, where it felt like you're from her perspective, and then it shifts.
And then as a viewer, again, who hasn't played the game, it's a silly comparison, but it's the Scream moment, when, sorry, spoiler alert for the first Scream, but, the movie was advertised as this horror film. Essentially, it's Drew Barrymore. She's in that opening scene of the movie and a big part of the trailer, and she's Drew Barrymore. But as it turns out, that's all she's in. And watching this, it honestly felt like, this girl was going to be around. Even to the point where when she the switchblade in his drawer,
Mm-hmm.
like you would think that that's like a foreshadow of her doing something important with that switchblade at some point, but no, she'd be dead later that night or whatever. But I can just imagine, again, if you don't know what to expect, what a jolt that is. Not just the fact that she died and it was sad and tragic, but also that you're like, oh, I thought we were going to be following this kind of, apocalypse through her eyes. Nope.
Right. That's how it was. Like, I imagine that's how it was like for y'all watching the show and never seeing the game.
Right.
And that was how it was like when I was watching the game, when I was the first time, I was like, oh yeah, like she's part of the game. But then she dies like 10 minutes into it, and it's like, holy shit. So like that's what I like, and I like how the TV show, at least this episode, obviously we've only seen one, but it felt like less like changing the game for TV and more like just expanding on it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like you see, like the game doesn't start where the TV show starts. It so you get a little bit more information, but like then it kind of like eases into it, and so it's good. I like the way they put it on. They put it into the TV show, and then as just a TV show by itself, not even taking the game into consideration. I like the cinematography, I guess, right? Like how everything in 2003 was like, it felt so warm and safe. Mm-hmm. Like everything just felt like, oh yeah, like this is just like getting to know this family. And then you go to 2023 and everything's colder.
Yeah.
And everything just
Which is wild
like,
considering that was like 2 years after 9/11, but you felt that too with the like a lot of the imagery in the background. I just felt like I was like, yep, this feels so 2003. Right.
And so like even when she when they're in the car and she's like, is it terrorists? And I was like, oh yeah, it's 2003.
Yep.
Like of course that would be at the forefront of her mind.
Mm-hmm.
But so like yeah, I mean that's it. Like I thought it was just really well made, and I really liked the framing of having the 1968 or whatever piece, the cold open.
Yeah.
Like that was really nice. Like just the whole thing is just really well done.
What about you, Donnie?
No, I agree. It had the scare factor to it. A lot of action. Like, I mean, it was terrifying at the beginning. And I compare this to like The Walking Dead. Like The Walking Dead, we didn't get this. It did what we get from The Walking Dead has already happened. So this is kind of like if I think of like any other zombie show and stuff like that. It's the type of stuff that at the beginning of the shit falling out, like just shit starting pop off.
To be fair, it was also really fast. Like they covered the beginning and the spread of it in that opening of her dying, and then after that it was like, well, we're 20 years beyond that. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
No, and it seems like this story of the game, like this was all just set up, and I think the what the gist of the game is, most of the game is going to be the next episodes, obviously, of them adventuring out to the real world. This is more of a setup to get us to that point, but hopefully the scare factor stays in there. I mean, we didn't see a whole lot of the zombie stuff 20 years in the future, so we don't, other than that thing on the wall, we didn't see a whole lot. So and interesting to see that stuff out in the real world.
What did you mean stuff on the wall?
That body. Remember that guy?
Okay, I know. I was thinking something else. So I know. But there was something else you could have meant, which is what I was thinking, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it. Actually, I thought it was great. Everything that you guys said, I like the way it felt like a video game in the best possible way. To the point, Kaylee is way more familiar with the gameplay. She remembered so much of it. Even at one point when I was rewatching it earlier, the part where they're in the truck and they're, going through the middle of like Main Street or whatever, it's just chaos. Kaylee was like, yeah, everything about this is like directly from the game. And I was like, yeah, you could even feel it. And then right when I said that, I think like Danny says something like, or is that his name? Tommy. What's his name?
Tommy.
Tommy's like, or Joel's like, watch out over there. And Tommy's like, I know, I see it, or something like that. And I was just about to say, even the dialogue feels like, cutscene, video game dialogue. And Kaylee goes, that's exactly from the game. Like whatever they say to each other is exactly from the thing.
So
and again,
and
it's not, I don't mean it like in a negative way. I guess because the good video games make those moments feel cinematic, like it's in a movie. And if you're going to adapt it, like leaving it that way, there's a reason they do it that way, where you're just, I feel like if that opening scene in particular was like, it kind of felt like a ride at Universal Studios, where it's like you're on the set of a disaster movie or something, like I just feel like swaying in the backseat with her. So stuff like that I really loved. Let's talk about the details. I'm sure I will gush over some stuff as we get more into it. But really, I don't have anything, I don't think, much different than what you guys said. I'm happy we're covering it. Donnie is in charge of editing the videos, the live reactions that we do, because I'm handling the podcast, he's handling the video stuff. But he also started a new job, an office job, which I guess we can talk about maybe the next time we record, because we're a little crunch for time tonight. But obviously is going to take up the majority of his time. So we haven't discussed when the video will be available for the time travel people, but I'm assuming within a few days, because I know you were working on it even up until we went to record this. Yeah. What were you going to say, John? I'm sorry. I feel like I cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, like, one more thing, just overall. Like, I'm so glad that they told the thing with Ellie in this episode.
Oh, about what her secret is?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like, the part, like, why he's got her and all that. Like, I was so worried about having to keep that on this podcast.
Gotcha. Okay, so the episode begins in 1968. It is a talk show with these two doctors or scientists, and their one is basically like, beware the fungi, and not fun guy like the party guy. Fungi like is in multiple fungus.
I don't know. Some of these guys might be fungi.
That's also beware them too.
Did y'all recognize that guy?
I recognized all of them except one.
You lying son of... Wait a second.
I recognize
my God. I'm so happy we do reaction videos now so people can see when you lie.
I recognized the other one after Nina told me who it was.
Okay.
But the one guy was... The young guy...
I understand the one that... I can guess the one that Donnie recognized.
The Silicon Valley guy.
Yeah, the guy from the big head from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And is that Dr. Newman?
Yeah, no, that was the host. The host was Big Head from Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And Dr. Newman was the brother from The Mummy.
Oh, I wouldn't have remembered that.
John Hannah is the actor's name.
Yeah, okay. I do remember him. Yes. I do remember him in that role. But, I mean, he's a face I know I've seen in several things, but I do remember that. And then the guy sitting in the middle.
I didn't recognize him.
Really? He's like in everything. He's, but most recently, oddly enough, we were talking about this on another podcast, Donnie, I feel like. I'm not sure why.
Because he was in something else that we just...
Van Helsing. He was the deaf guy. It turned out he was a serial killer or something like that.
But he was in something else we podcast too.
Oh, wait. Are you going to make us guess?
Well, I can't remember what it was, but that's what.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure what we're doing, but okay. So he was in Peacemaker. Well, you remember that was remember that role in Peacemaker. You guys.
Who are you asking? I don't reckon. I can't picture the guy's face.
Oh,
right
in your
now.
head. Okay, don't worry about it then. Okay. So anyway, they're talking about Dr. Newman in particular is talking about how there are some fungus or fungi that want to control, and he brings up, is that my dog? He he likens it to how LSD can kind of bend your mind and bend and therefore bending your will. It's basically this fungus taking over your body and causing you to want to do what it wants to do, which is spread. Which is, I feel like we've heard something similar.
I was going to say there was
something we watched that was zombie-like that was explaining it like, all of us are dead. I think they were explaining how it wants to replicate, like it wants to spread and thrive. And that's why it was so hard to figure out a cure. Remember, I think it said something like every time they tested it, something about it changed. Do you remember? Anyway, if you guys listen to our All of Us Are Dead podcast, it's a really great zombie K-drama that is on Netflix. But either way, I feel like I've heard that before. But I don't know that I've ever heard it as a fungus. Like that. Because fungus is like, that means like it could be airborne too, right? Like spores.
Right.
Yeah, it was so intense the way that I thought he did a great job of delivering this. It reminded me like of the newsroom when Jeff Daniels was giving his speech at the college. But like I really like when he was like, temperature can't get above the fungi can't survive above 92 degrees. But then what could possibly happen? What if the Earth heated up a few degrees? And I was like, oh shit. So I was like, I know that is happening. And I don't think that was part of the game. I don't think, I know obviously, like I said, the game doesn't begin with this scene.
Right.
So like, I don't remember that being like, I don't remember what explanation the game gave.
Okay.
So like, I like that they had this, and I was like so like into it. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's climate change.
After this is when it jumps to 2003 where we meet Sarah and Joel. It looks like he's a single father. Like the moment. Her name is, I said it when I announced the cast, Nico Parker. The moment she said like 2 words, I was like, she looks just like Dandiwe. And I was like, I was so distracted. Again, if you're a subscriber, you watch the video, you'll see. I was so distracted by the fact that like I thought that that's who she was, that at one point, but I didn't want to like stop recording or get spoiled or anything by looking it up. That I just was like, well, it's her daughter now. Like, even if it's not, I've decided this actress is her daughter, but she is. She's Thandiwe Newton's daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even because like in that they talked to her in that like 5-minute video, and she's British, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
because I had no idea.
So yeah, he's a single dad. They give us the date at some point. It's September 26, Austin, Texas. Like I said, year 2003. It's his birthday. We're introduced to the brother Tommy, which my dumbass, I think, went the whole episode before realizing that is actually his biological brother, not like his bro.
I mean, that's what I thought. It like at first I thought it was bro, but then she calls him uncle. But then I was like, well, it could be
right.
bro.
And then, but wasn't like I remember when he says to Marlene later, I think that's her name. You turned my own brother against me. I was like, okay, I think he means like literal. But, and not to say he wouldn't be this way for a friend, but he's also very adamant to like go find this man. That's driving a big part of this episode, the second half of this episode anyway. But we also meet the elderly neighbors, the Adlers that live next door. Well, not really elderly. It's like an older couple, and it looks like they're taking care of like her mom or his mom, right?
Yeah, like one elderly relative.
Yeah, one elderly woman with this older couple.
Biscuits.
Feeding her biscuits. So, the majority of this opening is following Sarah as she goes to school, and after swiping some money from his dresser, paying to have his watch fixed as a birthday present for him. And one of the things that I realize that I love in shit like this is like that build up and watching a person go about their everyday normal life, like, and us witnessing the world falling apart. Like, again, I didn't know what exactly the show was about, but I knew it was post-apocalyptic. So, you know, even if you didn't, though, you're watching her and there's like shit on the news about this and there's sirens in the background and things are closing early. I love shit like that.
Like when they're even on the radio, right? When they were talking about Jakarta.
Yeah.
And then they turn it off and she's like, well, that's Indonesia. And I was like, you should pay attention to the other part of that story that was happening.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, sorry. My dog sounds like a demon in the background. So yeah, she gets the watch fixed with his money. He ends up coming home late and not remembering to bring the cake that he promised. Oh, I'm sorry. I totally skipped over the one part where she, after school, after she gets the watch fixed, she goes over to the Adlers because, you know, like being nice to older people. And while she's over there, she's looking through like their DVD collection, and behind her, the elderly woman's in a wheelchair and she's not in focus, but like she is, like she clearly...
Terrifying.
She's reacting to something.
She's having an episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even like the teaser before that, when she's getting the watch fixed, you just the couple that own the watch, the repair place, are talking in a different language, and it doesn't, even subtitles doesn't even tell us what they're saying. But you know, some shit, they're just like, we're closing up, you need to go home.
Yeah.
Like you just know shit's popping off.
So I don't know, like, they're clearly saying that this spreads by like biting and injuries, scratches and stuff, right? We'll talk about some of that in detail in a bit. But at this point in the story, when we see what happens later with her biting them and then them turning, but with her, like,
I didn't need this. Like, maybe she got it from the biscuits.
I was like, there was some dry ass biscuits he was shoving in her mouth.
But she was literally in the wheelchair. Like, that was
right.
the thing. Like, that had to have been airborne.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it felt like she had some sort of like episode. That shit it wasn't even in focus, and it was like the scariest thing ever.
Yeah, it was like she had been infected, like they say later, like that she had to go into the city to be treated or whatever. And
so, do you really think that? I was wondering if that was them, like that kind of nervous, like we shouldn't be worried because if this feels like it was a city thing and they only got it because they go in the city. I didn't know if that like held credence.
I felt like it wasn't just because of the city, but like maybe that's how she got it, was because it was brought in like to the city from like somewhere else, and then it just spread so quickly.
But either way,
like
that it is something that is also airborne, because like then why don't they have it?
Yeah, I don't think that it's something that it doesn't seem to be. I should say it's something that
you have to die.
I don't
like
think
The Walking Dead.
No, I think it seems like you get infected and then it takes over your body.
Okay.
So like that's how like she was in a wheelchair, and then once the fungus grew enough inside of her to then like use her body as a vessel.
Okay.
So you're saying something happened to her in the city, and that's how she got it?
She kept more and more exposure.
Okay.
Yeah, she got exposed or whatever, infected like at some point, and then she came home, and that's in that scene when she freaks out in the chair. That seemed to be like the moment when like the fungus like took over or whatever.
Because it said there that little later on in the episode, there's like in the future there's a diagram, and it says basically we'll
talk about that later.
It'll take is 24 hours basically for you to fully get infected,
and that's if you're some sort of injury
is in a leg
or foot. Yeah. Okay. My favorite part of that is the way that dog was looking at her.
Yeah, what the fuck?
When Sarah left.
More than everybody.
So
that dog was me.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Like, what the fuck is going on with this lady?
So they end up watching the movie that she borrows and falling asleep until he gets a call that he has to go bail Tommy. Why do I have Danny written all in my notes? Like legit Danny. Like confidently.
Is that Ghost Rider's name?
No, it's Gabriel.
No, I mean like the Ghost Rider's actual name.
Oh, I don't think so. That's so funny. It's just Danny, like, so confident in my notes. Anyway, until he has to go bail Tommy out, and she ends up going to bed and waking up at 2:16 in the morning to find all hell has broken loose. There's helicopters, there's a national alert, and there's the dog Mercy from next door who she has to drag home.
He's like, I am not going in there.
That dog was like, why are you not listening to what the fuck I'm trying to tell you about Timmy in the well? Why are you going to that house? We need to be running, stupid.
He got out of his collar.
Oh my God. The fact that she was having to drag him should have told her something. Mm-hmm. But that's where she finds Miss Adler has eaten folks, and she has like mushroom spores. Y'all did not tell me this was mushroom zombies.
It was so fucking creepy, and that's one of the things I really like about, just like how the show, the episode slowly shows the world falling apart. Mm-hmm. Like I like how it slowly like shows you what these zombies are. Mm-hmm. So like the first one you see here, it's just like she looks very human, but she's got those fucking tendrils.
She
coming
looks
out
like
of her
that
fucking
thing
mouth.
from that show you like.
Who?
Kaylee just showed it to me. It was, oh my God, Kaylee, come here. It was you know how it's like if you'll see something drawn in an art style, like two things colliding. What was that thing you showed me? And it was like one pop culture thing, but it was drawn like a TV show. And you were like, it's this show. And I was like, I don't know that show. And you're like, you don't recognize the characters?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You suck. John, you like it.
What?
Futurama.
Okay, Futurama, okay.
Oh, that guy in Futurama with the
You mean Zordbo?
Yeah. Legit fucking forgot what the fuck we were talking about now because Kaylee stressed me out so bad.
The way that the old lady looked.
Yes, she looked like the fucking guy from Futurama with the shit flapping around in front of his face. I'm annoyed now. I'm annoyed. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she had her little, like,
flappity spores!
Yeah, like her fucking fungal, things hanging out. Yeah, like her meats.
It was, yes, her zombie meats.
It was so fucking weird, though.
It really was.
She was like, oh, and like her fucking straws were hanging out.
Her zombie straws. Okay, Kaylee, come get your dog. Thank you. So she ends up running from the infected old lady and is saved by Daddy's wrench. That's like the biggest wrench I've ever seen.
And then immediately drops it.
Yeah, he did that. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? This is not a video game. In a video game, you keep all your inventory with you. That's a perfectly good wrench. You don't throw that away until you get a machine gun.
Yeah, you carry that in your backpack with the other 1,000 pounds of things.
Exactly. You become over encumbered. You make room. Anyway, and then what was the lady name across the street? Stupid ass Natalie dies because they told her to take her ass back in the house and she didn't. Yeah, she called herself helping the Adlers.
She said, Jesus Christ, Joel. He runs them over.
Oh my God. So then this scene is, again, felt very video gamey. Oh God, sorry, my iPad's falling. Panic questions. Sarah's like, are we sick? Is it a sickness? Are we sick? How do you know we're not sick? And this is where we get our first peek at Joel kind of being a bit cold-blooded. He's like, fuck that family on the side of the road. We ain't got no room.
Tommy's like, they got a kid. And he's like, we got one too. Put
I was like,
the gas in the metal or whatever.
Christ, that's so funny. And there's like this. There's a scene with the. This was so stressful because this is just like, I think a lot of people's worst nightmare is some sort of
the airplanes
national...
were the scariest thing out of all of this.
And not even, honestly, for me, like, look, I was just talking about this at my parents' house last weekend. Like, I have, like, several... Absolutely not. Hush your face. I have several, like, recurring nightmares, like, that have followed certain themes. And there's one involving a plane that very much resembled the crash. But even more than that, before that, when it was, like, 3 planes racing above them, to me, that was way more terrifying than the crash for some reason.
Because they're really low. They're, like, at any point... They're coming down.
At any point, exactly. So yeah, this is all very terrifying and video gamey. And when the plane crashes, I was just, too through. This was also terrifying because they crash. The plane crashing behind them in the middle of the street causes the car to crash, obviously. And when they come to, I'm like, I don't know how long they were unconscious, but it's terrifying to think that they could have just been like mushroom zombie food. Yeah. You wake up dying. You wake up dead.
Yeah, you wake up dead, yeah.
You wake up a zombie.
You're like, why do I smell mushroom? No! Why do I smell like a soup? There's one thing here that I want to mention. And I won't do this like every time because I'm not going to go back and watch the entire game. But one thing I noticed about when I rewatched that first opening of the game was the one thing that was different about this scene was a big thing. What? Is there's no plane crash.
Oh yeah, Kaylee. Yeah, so Kaylee did tell me that when I was taking notes. She was like, "Oh yeah, that's not in the game, and that's terrifying."
Yes, so like in the game, like I like it because. On the show, when she's like, "Watch out!" and then there's a car that almost hits them, at an intersection. That's the scene in the game. Is that they get hit by that car?
Kaylee, she said that she's like, "I'm not exactly sure how they crash." She says, "I'm pretty sure it's not that." Yeah. Yeah.
So like having that scene was like for the people who are watching it who are like, "Oh, this is just like the game," and then that happens, and they're like, "Wait a minute."
Yes.
They didn't crash. So now then the plane crashes, and that was completely new. So, yeah, I don't know. That's everything.
That's cool.
They were like, we got budget.
After they wake up, they're separated from Tommy by another car crash blocking like him from the alley that they're in. So they make a plan to head for the river and meet up there. He picks her up, Sarah, because her ankle is hurt. And he tells her, don't look anywhere but here. And I told Kaylee, at this point, are you still her? But of course you're looking when you're not supposed to. Your POV is like over his shoulder. And this was terrifying because they end up being chased by mushroom zombies. And it felt like, you know how like sometimes with these things, it's like, it's so choreographed that there's no way your person's going to get caught. Like, this felt like they both could have died. Show over. Like, if I didn't know any better, I would have been like, he's going to die right now because there's no fucking way they're getting out of this.
It's interesting that you say that because I think the game was designed that way to teach you how it works. So, like, you can absolutely die in this scene. In the game
tutorial.
Because you are.
Yeah, and then they're like, they start you back over at the beginning of that scene, and they're like, this is how it's going to work. Like, if you die in this game, this is what happens.
Right, got it.
So like you absolutely can die in that scene,
yes,
and this is over.
And that's what it felt like. That's absolutely what it felt like. So good on them. They're saved by a soldier, but then the soldier is so obviously given orders to kill them before he realizes they're given, like, I knew he was going to be given orders to kill him before he did. Like, he had to ask like 3 times.
He's like, you sure?
Yeah, just her ankle. And I don't know if it was them.
I think it was her. I think it was because she was injured, and they
Really?
at that point, yeah.
You have way more faith in the American government military than I do, because I don't know. At this point, I would wonder if they'll just be like, "Fuck everybody." Like, don't let any people out.
Just kill them. We don't have enough room.
Right, yeah. Like, they're already trying to kill us off, so anyway.
He's like, they got a kid, and the guy on the other side of the radio was like, so do we.
So do we. And this motherfucker shoots at them, and they go falling backwards, and Tommy ends up killing the soldier before he can kill Joel, and they realize that Sarah is shot, and she eventually dies in her daddy's arms.
It's so, like, not only is it so, like, sad, obviously, but, like, it is also so cinematically pleasing.
Yeah.
Like, and, like, I was watching it, and I was like, oh, yeah, like, they framed that watch as he was holding her, like, in the center of the camera. And I was like, that looks familiar. And so when I was watching it, they did the exact same thing in the game. That, like, that's almost exactly the way it looks in the game. It's just a really good fucking game.
Yeah. Apparently.
Really well-made game. And that's that reminds me just to say, like, the co-creator of the game is a co-creator on the show.
Yeah.
Okay. Neil Druckmann.
Okay.
With Craig Mazin, which I don't know. I didn't watch Chernobyl. I think y'all did.
I watched.
I did.
Did you watch all of it?
I don't know.
I
if
never
I finished
finished
it, but I got most of the way through it.
Okay. I was thinking about going back.
It was really good.
A reaction channel that I watch just started covering it. That I like just started covering it. It made me think, maybe I'll give it another chance. So yeah, and this is when I was just like I knew the show was about Bella Ramsey and him. So it's not that I didn't. It's not like I was surprised that she died but also it could have been like maybe it's going to be him on the road trying to find her or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't know there was going to be a 20-year time jump and all that. So I wasn't like shocked. I was shocked. I wasn't surprised that she died, but I was definitely shocked, if that makes sense. And then I was like, so now I got to watch him walk around with like a little white girl for 8 episodes. I'm kidding. They killed out this black child. Now I got to watch him father this white child for 8 goddamn episodes. Thanks, y'all. I'm kidding. So it does flash. We go forward 20 years to 2023. Present day. Hey, it's still misery. It's still terrible.
Yeah, this is very accurate.
Yes, right? It doesn't feel very different. It feels very, very... They did well. And we watched this girl stumbling into post-apocalyptic Boston because apparently this mushroom zombie's been fucking shit up for 20 years. Everything's terrible.
No, this is just how Boston looks.
Yeah, this is... This is like Detroit. It's like RoboCop Detroit is just Detroit. So this is very end of Train to Busan. This is very, a few of you will get this. This is very Gabby, Attack on Titan, season 4, episode 1 vibes. But this little girl is clearly infected. Like even before they test her, but she's brought into they're checking her into this quarantine zone, and she's tested. And it's clear that it's negative by how kind this soldier was.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, what if I told you we're going to give you all the toys and all the ice cream and all your favorite foods. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I'd be like, I'm dying. That's what you're
I mean, the second he did that test, they came back red. You're like, red's not good.
Yeah. No, red is never good. But she was so kind in, making sure she didn't die, like, afraid.
Yeah. So then the very next scene, you got them burning bodies.
Right.
We're just like, where's the girl? Like you just.
So and it's not confirmed. Yeah, I should say it's not confirmed the way I mean, it was obvious to me. Maybe it wasn't obvious to some people, but if you didn't get that, that's what was happening. I would guess this scene is a bit of a shock, which is, like you said, people burning, I guess, infected bodies, and the little girl is one of them.
Right, and this is our introduction to Joel in the future.
Yeah. So the things, there's a sign on the wall when they were testing the girl. This disease, this infection, is called cordyceps. I can't take that seriously. Am I saying it right? Cordyceps?
I have no idea.
Okay, so you guys didn't see the signs. There's a sign on the wall set to report signs of cordyceps. And let me spell it for you guys. CORDYCEPS.
Yeah, I saw the sign. I just don't know how it's pronounced.
Okay. So report signs of cordyceps, which are coughing, slurred speech, muscle spasms, and mood change.
That just sounds like anybody drinking.
I was like, that's just like Friday.
That's right. That's just, give me some whiskey. That's what I mean.
And then we have like point 1. If you get, I'm assuming, a bite or a scratch on your neck, face, or head, you will become infected and turn within 5 to 15 minutes. Number 2, torso, arm, shoulder, or hand, 2 to 8 hours. And finally, 3, leg or foot, 12 to 24 hours. So it's like the further from your brain, right?
Yep.
Longer it has to travel. Okay. So he ends up they're paid in, like, what do they call them? Cards? Like he's paid,
Rations.
right?
The rations.
Yeah.
Isn't that the rations? Isn't it?
I think so. And then he takes a job the next day doing something with shit. Because it pays
in
more.
the sewers.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever pays more money.
Yeah, it's the shit job. Okay. He watches some people being hanged because they left the quarantine zone, which is apparently his jam. That's what he does. So we find out. And then he meets with the soldier who he pays in cash and cigarettes, or who pays him in cash and cigarettes for some oxy.
Yep.
And we learned there's a factory in Atlanta that's making pills and bullets. So I was like, of course there is.
That's where you find me.
Right.
That's where you be in the mushroom zombie apocalypse, John.
Yeah,
This is also his
business.
this is his connection to getting out in vehicles and stuff like that. This is how he's getting out.
Is this how it is in the game? You got to go meet this like strong-jawed. Look at, you saw his jaw. Jesus Christ, it was chiseled beyond belief. He has to meet with this guy to like upgrade his weapons.
Yeah, I don't remember. Like it was similar to this. Yeah.
Okay. So we meet Tess, played by Anna Torv from Fringe. That was again nice surprise because I didn't know who the fuck was in this beside the main two. She's double. This is hilarious because we meet her as she's being. She recently clearly just been beaten up by these 3 guys, and it turns out they just double crossed her, but they want her, or at least the main guy wants her assurance that her boyfriend or her partner is not going to retaliate. It's like, yeah, I know we just fucked you over, but we're also terrified of you. Please don't kill us later. And I couldn't tell, like, is she, because then she was like, well, what are you going to do? Kill me? And he was like, come on. And I'm like, okay, well, if you're not going to kill her, just let her go. Like, what do you want? And it was like, they literally just wanted her word that, as it turns out, Joel wouldn't later come kick their asses. But it don't matter because there's an explosion and like 2 of them die, right? All 3 of them.
at least 2 of them.
Okay.
No, the one guy was later.
Right, that's what I was going to say. It is the same guy, right? Yeah.
Right.
So it was the one who was doing the main talk. I think the 2 behind her, like I think those guys died.
Right. All for a dead car battery.
Oh my God, right? So where was I? Oh, so this is a Firefly attack, and it turns out the Fireflies are not cheerleaders. The Fireflies are a rebel organization, a group of rebels, a rebellion.
They're just trying to light shit up.
Oh, they're trying to fight this fucking fascist regime and restore democracy or something. I don't know. Yeah, I believe that's what she said later. So
when you're lost in the darkness, look for the light.
Little fireflies. Yeah, shake your little butt. Yeah, isn't that where the light bulb is? On their tails?
Yeah, in their butts.
Yes, that's where the light bulb is.
You need to watch this to make cartoons.
Fuck you, John.
It's like a Christmas light. You can unscrew it and change colors. Yeah.
Yes! Exactly, smartass. So, oh, Nico, shut up. So poor Tess is like caught up in the middle of this shit. Like she's just trying to get home. She's in the middle of a terrorist attack. And they absolutely arrest her. Like, she put her hands up. She's like, oh my God, they're shooting. They're like, bitch, get on the ground. I was like, yeah, nothing has changed. Nothing is different. So it turns out there's a girl being held by these fireflies. And they're testing her, it seems, daily for cordyceps, which I'm still never going to be okay with that name.
It sounds like an instrument a doctor would use.
Yes, exactly. Scoot down to the end of the table.
Put your feet in these stirrups.
Yeah, so I get the cordyceps.
I tell you, I don't mean this in any negative way, because it's going to sound, I know how it's going to sound.
I love it. Go ahead.
It was so odd for Bella Ramsey to be speaking with an American accent.
Mm-hmm.
Because she could not look more British. And I don't mean that negatively. I know it sounds like I'm being shady or whatever, but like legitimately, she just looks like a British person. And I'm like, that voice is not hers. Like the girl earlier, the Sarah, Tendiwe Newton's daughter, apparently. She does not look British.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I get that. I think...
I don't know what thoughts are going through your head right now.
I know it's a lot.
Like fucking Joffrey looks very British.
Yeah. I want to play a game now, but not tonight because we were pressed for time. Next time, I'm not even kidding. Everybody, this is homework. You guys ready for next podcast? We'll do a shoot the shit before the show, okay? Mm-hmm. We each have to bring 3 people, pictures of 3 people, and have the others guess if they're British or not.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'm going to have to provide those photos, like, online somehow. Yeah, fuck it. We'll figure it out. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
It's going to have to be, like, should it be people who people know? Or, like, random people?
I was going to say random people because I'm terrible, but I guess people... Yeah, we'll do actors. How about that? We could do, like, actors or famous people.
All right.
Okay. And we'll see who looks British. It made the most perfect fucking sense in the world when you said it. I know you're not trying to be shady. It's just hilarious because I got it. Like, you didn't need to say anything else. I was like, yes.
She should have a British accent. And she does.
And she does. So it's perfect.
So it was very weird.
So you're right. There's nothing wrong with what you said.
But at the same time, she is a very good Ellie. Mm-hmm. Like, as the character... From like looking, like knowing her from the video game and seeing her here, I'm like, yeah, she does a really good job.
Yeah, I don't know the character, but she's serving. She is with the shits, okay. And we knew this was a good actress. We knew this already from Game of Thrones, but she's proven, I think, in this episode alone that wasn't like a one little off thing. This is what she does, and she does it well. Okay, so she's being tested for the cordyceps. She says her name is Veronica. We find out later that's a lie. And she says Fedra is going to come after her because apparently there's something important about her, right? That Fedra, which is now what does that stand for? Because I'm assuming it's like the combination of FEMA and the military, but and some other shit. But what does it stand for? Nico,
no
relax. Okay, whatever. But they're running shit, basically. And we hate them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Veronica sees on the wall in the room where she's being held the episode title, When You're Lost in the Darkness. Just in case you didn't know, we're with the Fireflies. Then back with, what's his name? Joel, we find out that, oh my God, look what I wrote. Tommy has been missing.
Well, there you go. Then what the fuck happened to Danny?
I don't fucking, he's been missing for 3 weeks, apparently. But Tommy's been missing for 3 weeks, and he goes to this, I guess this guy who deals in messages, like old timey but radio.
Yeah, Western Union.
Yes, and Pony Express, and
Kevin Costner, the postman.
If there's like 3 references John is going to make on a podcast, it's like Batman, Kevin Costner, and Tom Hanks.
Well, now that you mention it.
Shut up. So,
okay. Here's a reference that I don't usually make. This is very similar to Children of Men.
Yes, it is.
Which is another thing that, like, I'm so glad that they mentioned the secret about Ellie, because I wanted to say that, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to say that.
Right.
Because it would give it away.
Yeah.
But that's something when I watched the game 10 years ago or whatever, I felt that. I was like, oh, this is so
I can't believe
good.
that was 10 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah, 2013.
And Jesus, I can't believe 2013 was 10 years ago. Like, I'm shaking out my melatonin into my hand, and I literally was that blinking guy meme, because I was like, what? 2013? I don't know why I expected you to say, like, 2003 or something.
Yeah, 2003, yeah.
Oh, my God. Okay, so, wait, what was I going to say? Oh, he insists that the guy at the Pony Express office, whatever, he's like, I'm sure Tommy is fine. Tommy is fine.
Now he's got Timmy
in the well.
Shut up. And Joel is like, no, he's never been out of contact for this long. This is bullshit. Tell me where the tower is. And he tells him it's in Wyoming, right? It's called Cody Tower. And there's so many mentions of towers, because there's another one mentioned later, Salem Tower. Is that like in the game? Is that like checkpoints? We can go like save your game.
I don't remember. I remember the Wyoming part, but that's it.
Okay. Oh my God, is this going to turn into a Western?
It has to be Yellowstone. Kevin Costner going to
Bingo. You won. All right, so almost called him Cody. Joel goes home. He has a stash of weapons in the floorboards. This is kind of like Maeve's stash in Westwood. Maeve, played by Cindy Way Newton. Dead Sarah's real life mom.
This is where you store everything in the game.
And his drugs, and so, yeah. And he's mapping out this road trip to go find his brother in Wyoming, and drinking and doing drugs. And we see here, if you didn't see it before, that he wears the broken watch.
Yeah,
he still
wears broken
it
again.
Mm-hmm. Glass shattered. Tess comes home because they're fucking, apparently. I don't know why I classified their relationship that way. No, but Tess comes home. She tells him about what happened with Robert's guys. But she's like, you gotta take a breath. You can't take your ass out there John Wicking it. She said, if he hears that we coming, he gonna dip. I need you to calm the fuck down. He's like, bet. I'll calm down. So then Marlene, turns out she is the head of the Boston Fireflies. Right? Yes.
Boston Division.
The Boston Fire. He's like, what's her name? Dandridge?
Yeah.
The actress. Dandridge. That's the actress. What's the character's name? Marlene what? Do we know?
No.
It's just Marlene.
Okay. All right. She's Marlene Firefly of the Boston Fireflies.
Yes.
Thank you. I went a long way for that joke. Okay. So, I love this because she comes in, a homegirl, turns out her name is Kim. She's like, listen, she's like, why didn't you send people to section 2 or whatever the fuck, like I told you to? And she's like, I told them to hold back because I have questions. She's like, well, I have a question. What's your question? So she's basically questioning, like, why you're doing this. And she's like, I would tell you my answer is follow fucking orders. She goes, but people are asking about this and that. What should I tell them? You should tell them to follow fucking orders. And then she tells them to take your asses to sector 2, like I said. And they just leave. And I was like, see, like that. That's following fucking orders.
She was great. And she plays Marlene in the game. So, like, they brought her back.
Oh, that's lovely. I love it. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. That's great. So she ends up explaining herself, which I wouldn't have done on GP because I'm petty, but she does explain herself. And it turns out she's like, yeah, we're hitting them in all these other motherfucking places because we're here in Boston and we don't want them here because all the Fireflies in Boston are gathering tonight and they're dipping, going out west with Ellie or Veronica at this point. Right. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, what? Why? And then she gives her a piece of paper, and she says, this is from the Salem Tower. And whatever it says, they don't show us. But she's like, is it real? And she goes, I believe it is. And again, I would have been like, so just do what the fuck I tell you the first time I fucking tell you to do it. And don't make me fucking explain myself. But that's not, yeah. So I'm assuming what's in this note is about Ellie's condition or lack thereof. Right?
Yep.
John can't say shit. Okay.
Yeah, I can't say anything there.
So then Marlene visits the girl, Veronica, gives her stuff, and this is where we learn that Marlene stopped the other Fireflies from lighting her ass up when she saw her. However, they came about her. That's not really clear, right? She goes to a federal military school where she was put when she was a baby. She thinks because she's just an orphan, but as it turns out, Marlene's the one who put her there and knows that her real name is Ellie.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, so you're a fucking terrorist. And then Marlene's like, was Riley a terrorist? And that shut her up a little bit. So I don't know who the fuck Riley is. And she tells her she won't let her go home because she has a greater purpose. And then she tells her something that can't be repeated or else she'll die. And we don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't. Right. Well, is it, so it is, didn't she already know that though? Or she didn't? Is that when that's what she meant by, is something going to happen? Or is it going to happen? She was asking if she was going to change. Right? Because she didn't know.
Think so. Yeah, I would assume that she did. Yeah.
Okay.
I would assume, yeah.
And I think that's why they kept coming into the room and asking her questions every day, it was to see if she was changing.
Okay. But again, until you know she's bitten, you don't know why they're testing her so much. Right?
Right.
You think it's just standard, like when they were getting arrested at the end, that you just check people just in case. Okay. So, meanwhile, this kind of confused me a bit. Joel and Tess are doing something. Like, I know they're trying to get to Robert to get their money back and get their battery. But I couldn't tell if we were supposed to realize that they were going to the place that we just were with the Fireflies. Does that make sense?
No,
because
yeah.
I mean,
even they didn't, like, because they were surprised to see Marlene there.
No. I just mean in terms of the set. Like, I couldn't tell if, like, I didn't realize it until, when they were going through and they came upon the dead mushroom zombie. Where was that?
The fun guy.
The fun guy. He's the, like, photocopy his bare butt at the Christmas party. No, what office was that? Where was that?
They were it looked like train tunnels.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And she had been down there before Tess because, again, they're runners.
Right, and she said that body wasn't there last time she was there.
Okay.
So it was
then he was kind of like freaking out a little bit because he's like, what if he got infected down here?
And she was like, whatever, let's go. It's over here.
I'm like, you guys are way too close to this thing.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? You like? Do you know? Like, they must know after 20 years, I guess.
Right. You hope.
But like me watching this, like this 45 minutes into it, I'm like, I don't want to be close to that thing.
Yep. So there was just like a point where once they climb up like between the walls and then they come to that door, I felt like there was a moment where I knew they were going to end up being at that same place. Like the set looked the same, if that makes sense. But I couldn't tell if it was just, oh no, I've seen parts of this building before because we were there with the Fireflies earlier, or if it's that this is just the look of this show, if that makes sense. Like everything looks like this. Like how John mentioned everything in 2003 looked different, like lighter. And but either way, it does end up being that same hallway where we're at the end of, it looks like some sort of gunfight between the Fireflies and Robert and his people.
Right.
Trying to sell that dead battery.
Again. He's dead as fuck.
Mm-hmm. He had it coming. So, oh yeah, I
like
fucked
this
up
though, because this is like he sees Marlene and them in the hallway, but doesn't know who it's like they don't know who it is at first, and then Ellie just comes running out
because she with the shits. Him. She is with the shits.
And he whips her ass. This shit was funny. He just whips her into the wall and kicks her knife.
So Marlene is shot or stabbed, or does it matter?
She's just injured. It looked.
Yeah, she says she's bleeding out. Kim is missing an ear, or part of her ear.
She's like, you don't have a fucking ear on your fucking head. Could you please?
Yes.
And then they zoom in on her ear.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ. She was not lying. This is where he mentions Marlene being the one who turned his own brother against him. So I'm guessing he was like radicalized. He was out there shaking his little.
Oh, did we talk about when he was at that little cafeteria and that guy walked up to him?
No, what?
Remember they were at the cafeteria when Anna Torv was meeting with a guy, and the other guy walks up to Joel and he's like, "Hey, friend." He tries to recruit him.
Have you accepted Jesus Christ?
That's right.
Have you accepted our Fireflies?
That's right. Thank you.
It's like, if you say look for the light, I'll break your fucking jaw.
So he just dips, he backs away. Yeah, and so because of this ambush, she's not going to be able to take Ellie to where it turns out, and I'm assuming this is like the first stop for her in because they said to take her out west, right? So yeah, this has to be they're going into, I'm assuming, the city outside the quarantine zone to the old state house. That's the first stop, and some other Fireflies would pick her up there, right? Nico, shut up. And she entrusts this to them because she knows what they're capable of. And Ellie's like, what the fuck are they capable of?
And she finds out.
Yes. So they agree. They're going to get what they want, though. They're going to get the vehicle that they need to go look for Timmy, Tommy, Danny. And so she reluctantly agrees to go with them and shoulder checks him.
And picks up her knife.
Yeah. So at his place, while he takes a nap, she figures out the communication code that they use using the Billboard hits from different decades. And then she also asks him point blank, you know what the fuck you doing? Like, how many times do you take your ass outside these walls? Yeah. So they end up sneaking out, but then they run into that strong jawline motherfucker.
Yeah, he's out there taking a piss.
And it's like why? I guess he figured the reward or wherever he would get for just doing his fucking job for once is better than the continued kind of hookup he had with having access to a dealer, a runner. I don't know. I couldn't understand why he turned so fast.
I don't know. He was like,
Yeah, I don't know.
But he did owe him money, right? Because he was short. Oh, but he made it up in like cigarettes or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But he turns and he's like, I'm going to turn you in. Ellie is like, call an ambulance, but not for me.
She pulled that knife and stabbed him so quick.
I was like, Ellie is with the shit. Because even Tess was like, just get on your knees. Let's still try to negotiate. Ellie was like, fuck that.
Yeah, the second he started doing the testing, I knew
Yeah.
it was going to come up red on her.
Yeah.
And even after she stabbed him, Joel and Tess were like, no, wait a minute. We can work this out.
Right.
It was like, no,
And
she just stabbed that guy.
And he was like, no, she just stabbed me. I'm that guy. And you need to step aside so I can shoot this child. And I mean, I could understand if he had seen the test result, but just on the stab alone, he was like, I'm killing this child. And Joel can't have that. He can't abide that. So he rushes him and beats the shit out of him, which Ellie really liked.
Yes.
I was like, what is she? I was like, she is with the shits and then some. But they're forced to run before they can really debate the fact that Ellie seems to be infected from, it looks like 2 bites on her arm that she said happened 3 weeks ago. So they run off into the dark ass city, or just Boston.
So we don't like for the fact that the Fireflies have been hiding her in the military. Like hasn't just been 3 weeks, right? Like I feel like this is something that she was born with, or she's had it. Because why hide her in the military, like since a baby? Like why do all that if she wasn't special until 3 weeks ago?
I don't know. I don't know if that's why they hit her though.
Okay.
I don't know. And John can't say shit.
I mean, I couldn't say anything if I remembered, but like,
And he don't even remember.
I don't remember that part of it now.
The song, and then as they're making a run for it, the song that plays, I was like, it would be too crazy for it to be "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go," but I figured it's going to be from the 80s, which she figured out means trouble. And it is a song from the 80s. It is Depeche Mode's Never Let Me Down Again from 1987. So presumably this is a message from Tommy?
I don't know. I don't know what the message. They didn't really confirm.
There was like B and F on the notepad, and she figured out it was like Ben and Frank or something. So maybe one of them. I don't know. We have feedback, you guys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw it in the Facebook post.
Okay, so let me just double check.
I was just gonna say, when he jumps on the chop guy, because he was protecting his daughter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he couldn't do it, before.
Mimi says, "Hi guys, I'm so glad you're covering this. This was one of my favorite games when it came out. I was so surprised how many of the shots were almost the same. I love Bella Ramsey as Ellie. The dash of feralness is perfect and seems really in line with kids who grew up in a collapsed society. I love to pieces the moment you saw Ellie that you knew what the thermometer was going to say, and she just went for her knife. Yeah, she was just like, yeah, no." We're not bartering our way out of this. Pedro Pascal is perfect as Joel. I can't wait for certain parts of the game to come into play. I am nervous, y'all. Shut up. What do you mean?
Oh, yeah, there's some good shit coming.
Oh, my God, shut up!
It's just all good. It's a good game.
Okay. That's all. I'm a happy bunny, Mimi. Oh, my God. Now I'm scared. Manera says... okay, so the subject of this is I'm dumb for The Last of Us, but the reason she said that is because I reminded folks about an hour and a half before we were going to record. I reminded them that we were recording and that they had time to send in feedback. And I think she left the feedback on that comment first. So, and there is feedback there, which I'll read as well. So I think she deleted it and sent it to the email. Either was fine. I saw it, but thanks for sending it to the email. Anyway, she says, "Hi, Nina, Donnie, and John. I'm dumb. I never leave feedback. And then when I do, I did it wrong. Sorry. No worries. I love this, and I say that as someone who has never played the game and knows absolutely nothing about this other than the surface level stuff. Yay, just like me. The beginning did horror/pandemonium so well. Spending that time with Sarah really helped me feel like I knew her." Yes. So then when they were like, psych, losing her the way he did, I worry about Joel and Ellie's relationship going forward, which I believe was intentional. Pedro is wonderful. He emotes so much with just his eyes. Here he is taking after another kid all season. Speaking of which, did you guys see the poster for season 3 of The Mandalorian? And
yeah,
apparently the trailer is dropping or has dropped tonight during a football game.
Yeah, Monday Night Football tonight.
Is it playoffs? I was going to say playoffs.
Yes, playoffs.
Okay, I was like, I didn't want to sound stupid, so I just said a game.
Yeah, hopefully Tom Brady's last game.
Hopefully.
Ever.
Yeah. At least with Tampa Bay.
I love the Tom Brady hate. I'm so sorry, Sam. I know. Not Sam, Sting. Sting, I think, is well, he's not with the Patriots anymore. So I don't know how Sting feels about Tom Brady, but I think Sting is a Patriots fan. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, the trailer, I'm sure it'll drop soon. We'll be able to watch it online. I'm really looking forward to that. Okay. Anyway, so she says, I had no idea that Gabriel would be in this. So when I saw him, I screamed. When the world goes to shit, must the first thing we go back to be public hangings and slavery? Listen, when they were like, when the guy at the Pony Express office was trying to stop him from going out there, and he was like, there are worse things than the infected out there. There are raiders and slavers. And I was like, absolutely. Because the moment things get rough, white people would be clamoring to put us back in chains.
They're trying to do it now.
Like, absolutely. They wouldn't give a fuck about getting infected. That would be their secondary goal, is safety. The first would be enslaving these Negroes. Anyway, good grief. I'm excited to see more and cry privately in my house. Thank you for the podcast and congratulations on the job, Donnie.
Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to go to Facebook. Jill says, I'm coming into the series as someone who hasn't played the game, although I've wanted to, and just haven't found the time. Like a lot of people, I'm aware of the premise, but don't know anything more other than it's a young wolf and cub story. I love the tone, pacing, and I was really surprised that I was on the edge of my seat despite another zombie type series. Yeah, I think I mentioned this before, maybe not, I'm sorry. A K-drama that I'm watching, not podcasting, just watching for pleasure, is called Happiness. My favorite YouTube reactors are covering it, which is why I even started to watch it. And I'm glad I did, but it's similar. It takes place in, like, I think it came out last year, but I don't remember. I don't know when they started filming it. So I don't know if it was a situation where they were filming it and had to stop for COVID and then eventually picked up or whatever. But it is very clearly set in the time of COVID. Like, they mention it. It's a big part of the plot. But it's also another interesting take on the zombie genre. But it feels fresh. Like, there's enough other stuff going on, and the way they treat it and explain its origin is a bit different than, typical. So it feels fresh. But yeah, I agree that even though it's, again, I didn't even know it was zombies. I was excited when I found out it was, but it doesn't feel like The Walking Dead or anything else that came before it. I don't think. It feels, there's parts of it that feels kind of Star Warsy at times, but maybe that's just Pedro Pascal. Anyway.
You're just seeing the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's similar to like some contemporary stuff, like World War Z.
Yeah.
There's some World War Z-ish type stuff, but like, like what came first, the chicken or the egg there. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I mean, there's some similarities there, but I was just gonna say I'm kind of over zombie stories, but this is not a new one. This is one that I've already seen. So like an exception.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think the video game aspect of it, like the POV, like the way they choose to present certain POVs, like again the car sequence, something about that gives it like a found footage type vibe. You know what I mean? Like those types of movies where you're viewing the action from somebody holding a camera, so it's kind of shaky and even more terrifying at times. Okay, so anyway. She says, I'm excited. This is still Jill. Sorry. I'm excited to learn more about the world building. Pedro was amazing as always. And without knowing Ellie from the video game, I really thought Bella Ramsey did a great job, especially considering that they are not performing in their native accent. True. As soon as I saw the character of Sarah, I told my son that could be Thandiwe's daughter, and she is. Great to see Anna Torv, and it makes me want to do a Fringe rewatch. I need to do that one day because I never finished it.
You never.
I know. It's like I don't.
We could never. We get to close.
I get to like a certain point and just something happens. It's like other things start like taking my. It's the weirdest fucking thing.
Just watch like the ones you haven't seen.
No, but it's so like.
Then you forget everything
else. It's too. It's not the type of show you can do that with, and then know what the fuck is going on, or maybe even like. Yeah, I don't think I can.
Maybe this is the last season.
Oh. Just do the last season. I know, no.
Yeah, I don't watch all those like 6 seasons or some shit. Like, yeah, you can't watch 120 episodes. Yeah, that's hard.
Hey.
Of an hour-long drama.
Hey. Don't. You know you're talking to. Stop it.
Yeah, but I mean, there is a lot of fucking TV.
It is a lot. Okay, so I can't wait to see the zombie action and the rules for this world. All I know right now is that they are great. I'm sorry, they are fast. Sorry.
Oh, she loves those zombies.
Yeah, that too. That's so terrifying to me, fast zombies. Looking forward to the podcast. Thank you, Jill. And finally, Lee says, as someone who barely reads... Oh my god, that's so funny. We got to go soon, but I've been reading a lot of manga, which I want to talk about soon. Anyway, as someone who barely reads, this is a rare opportunity for me to see a story I've enjoyed adapted into a movie or TV show. This first episode gives me high hopes for the rest of the series. The tweaks to the story haven't changed the direction of the plot, and in some places fills the gaps that the game didn't address. Nice. Since most of the lore and backstory in the game is told through newspaper cuttings, notes hidden in safes, and diaries found in abandoned homes. So yeah, it's like historical found footage stuff. That's interesting. The script could never have been copied and pasted into the TV show. Interesting. I look forward to seeing how they squeeze so much goodness into 9 episodes. Keep up the good work. Yay, I'm excited, you guys. Thank you, Lee. I'm so excited to cover this. I'm excited that it's good. It's always nice when like you look forward to something and it's good and you're surprised because like, again, you didn't know anything about it. And so you're like introduced to something completely new. Even though it's a genre, like we just said, has been done to death. No pun intended. It's just so exciting that it's good. I'm happy it's good. So
yeah, I mean, and there was a time, I mean, and technically we're still in it, I guess, is when like video game adaptations are typically not good.
Yeah. A lot of people, I didn't mind Halo. Like, I liked it. I didn't think it was as bad. I understood some of the gripes people had, but I also think there was a little bit of it where folks were being a bit unfair to a B plot because it was people of color, but that's just my personal opinion. But it's that, I mean, this is, I feel, at one episode better, executed way better. But yeah, they don't have a very good track record, I guess.
Yeah, usually, and it's so weird because so often you'll have something like The Last of Us that is a cinematic game that you could just literally just put into a TV show and it works.
Yeah,
they'll just fuck it up somehow.
I was thinking about that with manga, even though it's so ridiculous that to be shocked by it. But I was telling Kaylee so many times when I'm reading a manga of an anime I've already watched, and I'm like blown away how it's just panel by panel, frame by frame, the same thing. I'm like, y'all really you really just had to animate this bitch. Like, these writers should get a lot of credit. These artists, I should say, right? For like just mapping it out one way, and then the animators come in and it's a different level, of course, but it's great. So yeah, I guess one episode at a time. We're cool with that. Is that good, you guys?
Yep.
Yeah. And I may propose, it just depends. So doing, like, I'm going to bed like now. Like, I'm literally like, you guys, I have my shirt half off. I'm trying. I was trying to figure out if I could pull this shirt over my head.
Do you want to meet a fun guy?
What the heck? You idiot! With my headset on, but I can't. So to put my nightgown on, but I can't. So I'm sitting here with my shirt around my neck like a fucking lay, like I just got into Hawaii. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh,
it's
fuck
your
me, I
bedtime.
forgot. Yes, it is my bedtime. And if we will do the live video reactions. I was proposing to Donnie that we do them on Mondays when he comes home from work. Then we'd have to record on Tuesdays. But, like, can I avoid spoilers for a day? Like, I also kind of want to watch this when everybody else watches it on Sunday. So I don't know. Because doing the videos on Sunday night is tough because the episode airs at 9. And again, this is like bedtime for me. And we're on the East Coast, so it sucks. No, the East Coast doesn't suck, also... but the time, like, you know, again, in Oregon, I was used to watching my Sunday night stuff at 6 p.m. and, you know, be done at 7 and still have the rest of my night. So.
This was a long episode, too.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, does HBO put the episodes up, like, early?
Nope.
No.
Sometimes those episodes, they're like, it's up at, noon or something.
Yeah, all the other channels, like Stars, I love Stars because they did that. They would always put it up Sunday morning. AMC Plus has been putting their stuff out Fridays.
Yep.
So you can watch whatever their Sunday show is early. Only if you're on AMC Plus, but HBO is like, nope, everybody's watching this at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And then they wonder why their servers crash.
And then they're like, hey, we're going to charge you more.
We're going to raise more, yeah. And we
also,
removed
half our
so
shit's
much.
getting taken off.
Yes, these sons of bitches. That's some bullshit.
Yeah, it is. It's so stupid.
I hate them all. Anyway, so we'll be back next week to discuss the second episode. I don't have time or the bandwidth, honestly, to go over all the other stuff that's coming up on the site. But the schedule is updated. So if you head over to projectfandom.com and check out the schedule, you'll see what's upcoming for both free and premium and the time travel tier of premium. If you want to send in feedback that we'll read on the air next week after watching the episode, you can send it to feedback@projectfandom.com. Unless there's anything else, we'll talk to you next week.
Nothing else.
Okay. Talk to you next week.